Hello everybody, welcome to the Out of Nowhere podcast pay-per-view recap edition. I'm Michael Allen, joined by the pilot Oliver.
Hello.
The pilot, do you like it?
I do actually, I quite like being on this side of the desk for once. It's nice. I do less work.
Well, hopefully this whole show will be less work. Joined by our own very special diva Chelsea.
Hello, you alright?
I am pretty good, and literally my brother from the same mother, Steve.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. For your second pay-per-view recap?
Yes. Not as excited as last time, I apologise already.
I literally think the entire universe is with you. The WWE universe. Didn't even mean to do that, but there you go. I think there's only one way to start that, and that is just to straight jump into it. What do you say?
We all seem a bit down for a change. It doesn't seem as upbeat as normal.
I don't know. All of our shows seem to be pretty down.
I was going to say, I'm like one of us who actually are pretty okay with what went down like last night. I mean, yes, we did get the predictable ending, but...
Well, I think there's an overall conclusion that we can make at the end of the show, but let's go match by match. And the one that we all lamented on the first, on the last podcast of ours was the pre-show match, the 2 out of 3 falls, Alberto Del Rio versus Kalisto. Predictably, Kalisto won the title, defended the title in a 2-1, in what I thought was actually a well-worked match.
Should have been on the main card.
Yeah, well, we can get to that at many points during this podcast, I think. In fact, at the end of each match, I'm going to ask, should this have been replaced by the US title match?
There is only one match that's going to have an answer to.
What, that the answer should be yes?
Yes.
No, there's more than one match where the answer should be yes. I'm afraid you're wrong.
There's an entire segment where the answer should have been yes.
So, I thought it was a well-worked match. Chelsea, what did you think of the match itself?
Yeah, again, it was better than I expected it to be. Predictability with Kalisto coming out and winning and getting the 2 falls, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, to be fair. There was some quite good spots. It was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, so it wasn't bad. That's all I've really got to say on it, to be fair.
There you go. Kalisto versus Del Rio, 2 out of 3 falls. It wasn't bad.
I gotta say, this is probably the better matches that they've had, like, of this series of matches, and there have been a lot of them. This 2 out of 3 falls was something different. It was they did a little bit more. They seemed to push the boat out, even though they're on the bloody pre-show. I mean, where Del Rio picked up the pinfall on Kalisto, I think that's the most brutal I've seen him apply that finisher throughout his entire recent run.
Yeah, I agree with that. The finisher was the best I've seen him do, where he actually looked like he delivered some pain to someone rather than just tickling them in the corner, which is always what it seems to be.
And the bonus as well of having Mauro Ranallo on the commentary, who was a delight to hear on pay-per-view and should take over pay-per-view duties for WrestleMania. Looking at you, Brian Saxton or JBL. It just added something different.
Leave Saxton alone.
Okay, fine. We get rid of JBL and bring in Maranello, and everything will be fine. I mean, like, it made the match itself feel a lot more important.
You can't do that. Then you have 2 play-by-players. That don't work. Just get rid of Cole. He can work backstage, and then we'll have Ranallo.
You don't even want him working backstage. You just want to get rid of him altogether.
No, Cole's got his job. Stephen, let's not forget that you're actually here. What did you think of the match?
I enjoyed it, actually. I thought it were alright. I think, as you've alluded to, it definitely should have been on the main card. I think you guys in the last pod sort of mentioned that, why it couldn't really understand why it wasn't on there. I definitely think it should have been on there, and I have to agree. I think they've put on a better performance than they have done recently. I had the show on for the fact that I was waiting for the pay-per-view to start and enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to do.
Yeah, I think the pre-show matches always have that, that feeling of, well, this is just going to be fine. It's either it finds its top mark it could reach, and poor is the usual mark it reaches. But I thought this was really enjoyable. I thought one of the best aspects of the match was that Del Rio was vicious and he was cold and he was calculated in the way he was going about things.
We always hear it, don't we, how vicious Del Rio is, and he never really seems to be.
No, he never
something
is.
that Michael Cole always says, this is a new vicious side to Del Rio. No, it's fucking not. This tonight was a new vicious side to Del Rio, swinging him in from the fucking chair.
Yeah, tonight I think, and I know Russ isn't here, but he calls him was it, a vacuum of charisma? Something like that. But I thought tonight, last night I suppose, he was really quite enjoyable. And I think that's about sums up all that match, to be honest. Anything else to be said about that one? I really don't think so.
Just again, there was no reason for that match to be on the pre-show at all. Like, you could obviously see that they were trying to fill time throughout the main event, and
we'll get to that.
Yeah, we really do need to get to that.
Well, I kind of enjoyed this match. It really should have been on the main show, but moving on to the main show, we kick off with the Divas tag match. Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch taking on the team of Tamina and Naomi. Are they still Team Bad? I don't know now.
I think they're just like a tag team now, aren't they? Just splashed up with Naomi and Tamina. I think the teams have just well and truly gone, thank God.
Does this mean Team Bad won the Divas Evolution by default because the other team split up?
No.
Well, actually, if they did you see the backstage promo when they was entering the arena? They said they put the BAD into Team Bad, so I guess they still are Team Bad in a way. Either way, we're getting sidetracked by a pointless discussion about this random tag team. The match is won again, predictably, I think is the word for the show, by Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch, with a double tap out, let's call it. Both of them applying their finishes to Tamina and Naomi for the win. This match went on longer than I felt it was going to. Stephen, you're not much for these tag divas matches, but did it pull you at all?
I was a little. I enjoyed some of the match, the fight itself. To be fair, I'd say I did think was that Naomi's not that bad actually. Like I think when as a tag team. Rather than the three, I think when the three of them were Team Bad, I think she was clearly outshone by Sasha Banks. But as a two and as the lead in a two, I thought she carried herself off quite well as an actual wrestler and somebody that could compete with the other women on the roster. I wasn't surprised by the result. I thought it was the result. The only thing I was expecting that I didn't get was that it would. And this is probably something that will come up with each match, was that I was kind of expecting something to happen between sort of Sasha and Becky to sort of signal the start of the road to WrestleMania for them.
Well, it kind of started off that way at the beginning of the match, didn't it? Where they had the whole tagging themselves in thing, but that was literally the amount of animosity that they had. I'm going to tag myself in for this match.
There was a moment in the match where I think it was after Becky was being beaten for a while and Sasha had been attacked and was just getting back up to the apron. Becky cleared house and went over to tag her in, and I was hoping for Sasha to sort of just drop down
from the thing. Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Kind of leave Becky to get beat and then kind of jump on her, but then I suppose that probably aligns her back with Team Bad then, doesn't it? So you've kind of got a bit of a...
I guess so.
It probably would have confused things a lot more. I just thought they would have led into sort of WrestleMania, assuming that, with the assumption that they were going to be fighting each other with Charlotte at WrestleMania.
I also was waiting for something to spark off between them, but I thought it was going to happen at the end of the match, when the whole raising each other's hand business. I thought it was going to happen then. But I suppose if you're Sasha Banks and you attack Becky now, that kind of just locks you into a feud with Becky. You need to get Charlotte in there somewhere. Chelsea, you're the big fan of Sasha Banks around these parts. You enjoy the showing today?
Yeah, I did. I actually thought it was one of the better tag team matches that we've seen in a while. I mean, even like Steven said, Naomi actually. I mean, I've never said she was a bad wrestler, but she definitely proved herself more than she has done previously. I mean, even Tamina, she did some good heel work, but I think the star of this match was definitely Becky. I mean, she was the face of the match, and she really brought the storytelling element to it, and like just her breaking up the pin, which Sasha would have lost from that super kick if Becky hadn't broken.
Was that the one from Tamina?
Yes.
That was a vicious super kick.
It really was, wasn't it?
I mean, there were some hard hits throughout this entire pay-per-view, but that sound still resonating now, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was. It was someone on commentary. It might have actually been Michael Cole who was saying about the night bit having it being a super kick party. But it seems to be a long-running theme throughout the night. But I really enjoyed this match. Becky was really good. Sasha was on top form as usual. I really enjoyed her bank statement out of nowhere. I really enjoyed that.
Out of nowhere.
But yeah, I really enjoyed the match. It was better than I expected it to be. It's better than I expected it to be.
Well, I think you was the one who said that it's a shame when you can pre-plan your toilet break. Wasn't that this match?
I don't think it was this match.
No?
No, it wasn't this one. But
good, because you would have been entirely wrong, because it was an enjoyable one.
Yeah, it really was. It was better than I expected it to be, and I think it was a really good show, and I'm obviously glad that Becky and Sasha picked up the win. And like you guys say, I was definitely surprised that we didn't have something at the end. But we've got 6 weeks, so let's see what they do with it.
I know 6 weeks seems a long way, but we'll get to that in a bit. Oliver,
I again agree. Very, very good match. And it was curious as well that they actually put them on as the start. Like, they got them to open the pay-per-view, which is a very kind of, it's a big thing to do. It's a match that sometimes gets given to Kalisto or Neville, or when John Cena's in the Open Challenge, he had one to open up these pay-per-views. So to be given, ask them to be the hot opener to get the crowd hyped up for the rest of the pay-per-view is a big ask, and they certainly delivered. It was very, the face and peril from Becky was really good. Naomi, who's probably one of the more underrated women's wrestlers on the roster, she kind of gets forgotten about behind Charlotte, Sasha, and Becky. So, Naomi's still there and is essentially the fourth person to those three right now. I mean, yes, Paige still is around, but at some points I'd possibly rate Naomi over Paige at this point in terms of in-ring work. So,
I won't allow it. Paige is just not being used properly, that's the problem.
But no, as I said, it was a very good tag team contest, probably some of the better tag teams that we've seen from these Team Wars and Divas Evolution. I mean, even Tamina looked good. Tamina Snuka looked good.
Yeah, I think the reason why Naomi and Tamina did so well is that because they played the perfect heel tag team, didn't they? They kept Lynch away from Banks for a large portion of the match, and then when Banks got the hot tag, they quickly stopped that too. So I think they did a real good job on their end. They played their part. They sold the story well. They set up Sasha and Becky in a way that's give them a bit of fire under them to say that they deserve to then go on to say a Divas title match.
Agreed. And
job well done, I think.
Definitely, and we're going to see over the next 6 weeks, that animosity actually start brewing again between Sasha and Becky. But for tonight, for them to play the two faces, get the crowd cheering and happy, and then, tomorrow we'll start seeing the breakdown of their relationship and them competing to go after Charlotte at Mania.
I can't wait. I can't wait for it. We've been calling for this triple threat for a while. It's got to happen, right?
It's definitely the only way forward. And yeah, I'm just really hoping that we do get that triple threat, because from my point of view, that's the only way that this could go forward. Rather than we get a continuation of Charlotte versus Brie, which I don't think we're going to get after their match. But unless Naomi and Tamina just fall off the sidelines, it really is the only way that they've got to go forward is for Becky and Sasha to team up together and go after Charlotte.
They could still do the 1-on-1, like they have, I don't know how they decide the number one contender, and give us a Sasha versus Charlotte 1-on-1 match. I think it's just as likely to do that than they go with the triple threat, but if they do the single, then I don't know what they do with Becky, which is a shame. But
well, we all know that Sasha and Becky are going to get continued with during the storyline, but I really do hope that Tamina and Naomi get something from the end of this. You know, even if it's a tag, it'll be a Total Divas thing, obviously. But are they in Total Divas? I don't watch.
Naomi is.
Well, there you go. That's a slight link, right? So get it against Paige and Natalya, and then we're all right. Moving on to the next match, which I think, for me, probably the match of the night. Your boy Kevin Owens, Chelsea versus Dolph Ziggler for the 9,999th time. However, we would never complain that these matches are bad. We just complain we see them all the time, and this one delivered just like all the rest of them have.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, I was not looking forward to, like you say, the 9,000th rematch of these two, but I was kind of sitting through it, and I was just, my hatred for Ziggler was building at this point before the match started. Like, he was starting to really get on my nerves. But no, they both did a really good showing. But I think my favourite bits from this match were just Kevin Owens, just how we keep saying how like sassy he is. And
how many was it, Ollie? How many sass?
So throughout the course of this match, there were 20 different moments where Kevin Owens was either being sassy, berating the referee, berating Michael Cole, screaming at Dolph Ziggler, screaming at the fans. I think my favourite line of the night, though, was, "Your hometown loves me more than you do," and he's got a headlock on him.
And the best thing about that is that Dolph Ziggler's decked out in Cleveland gear as well. It's like, we still hate him, we still prefer him. My favourite line of the night was, as always, his interaction with Michael Cole.
Absolutely.
Like, shut up, I can hear you from here.
Yeah.
Perfect.
No, I'm secretly hoping for just Kevin Owens versus Michael Cole at WrestleMania.
I don't know why you would be hoping for that, but I mean, I'll take it.
Michael Cole does have an undefeated streak at WrestleMania.
He
exactly,
does.
Kevin Owens could be the 1-on-1 in 1-on-1. But I'm really happy that, I mean, obviously it was predictable that Owens was going to take the win on this one. And just the fact he's only been in the company a year, and he is...
2 times.
Yeah, he's already set for a 1-on-1 intercontinental match at WrestleMania. Like, whoever, you get these people on the internet who complain about bookings and stuff like that with Owens, but for the little time he's been in the company, that they really are giving him that push forward. And with his recent tweet to AJ Styles as well, I am more than excited for Kevin Owens' future just to go forward.
Yeah, so we haven't actually said, but you can probably tell by the way we're talking that Kevin Owens gets the win. Dolph Ziggler goes for another super kick, which I think would have been about the 5th of the night.
Yeah.
Christ, that one on the outside of the ring he took. Bloody hell, that will look stiff. I'm not sure what it is, but Kevin Owens just always makes the things, always seems to sell just everything so viciously.
I think in a night where selling was absolutely atrocious, I think, yeah, like you say, Kevin Owens is one of the best that we've got, and his new setup for that pop-up powerbomb as well is really good.
The pullback,
yeah,
that was pretty sweet. Stephen, you was always quite, down on Kevin Owens, and at the last time you was on at Royal Rumble recap, you said you were starting to really get to like him. This is probably the best. This is the best outing.
He's my boy. He's my boy.
Hey, stay away, Stephen. Stay away. He's mine.
He's my boy. Yeah, I think it's just the fact that he's a brilliant wrestler is just the icing on the cake, because everything else makes the match so enjoyable to watch. I mean, like you said, the interaction with Michael Cole, the taking the fans poster at the end. I mean, the only thing he didn't do was rip it up. If he'd have ripped it up, it would have been absolutely hilarious. But I guess even that might be one bit too far. But I just love that they've kind of. think I said this on the after the last pay-per-view. They just seem to have given him a bit of license to just go with the persona that he's going with, and it's paying off dividends. Like he's the future of the business as certainly as the heel, the heel of the future. If not the top wrestler going forward, and the Intercontinental Championship isn't going to be the limit for him. I think it's definitely that world title stage, when and not if.
You're definitely right there in terms of him now, like being given, like he's nailed his character, consistently. Like he knows who he is as a person. He knows who he is as a wrestler. He knows what he does in ring. He does different things on pay-per-views that he'll do on Raw. He'll pull out moves he'll only see on the pay-per-views and special events that you won't see him pull out on Raw, because he knows when to do the big moves and when not to make things feel so repeated. Like we've talked about this briefly in the past, but this day and age, you'll see people jumping to like doing suicide dives every single Raw. There's like 2 or 3 suicide dives per episode of Raw now. Whereas with Kevin Owens, he won't pull out the fisherman suplex from the top turnbuckle unless it's a pay-per-view event. He won't pull out, his package pile driver powerbomb unless it's in a severe, unless it's actually in a match against someone who's had a long and built-in feud like he had against John Cena and Sami Zayn. So he just has it so nailed down to a T. And
he gets it, doesn't he? He just gets it.
Absolutely.
In a world where, in a WWE Universe roster, where there's so many guys who feel the same or don't feel special, Kevin Owens feels special. Even when he loses, he still feels special as a wrestler. And he makes you excited to want to see him, to see what he does. And he is, like, next year, we will be seeing Kevin Owens challenging for the big belt. That's guaranteed. And I wouldn't be surprised if he does pick up the ring towards the tail end of next year.
Yeah, the only problem is when he's starting to go towards, the main event is when Seth Rollins will be coming back and he'll be then the top heel once again. But there's definitely space for there's definitely.
Like Seth Rollins has always been the chicken shit heel, where Kevin Owens is the I am going to kick your ass type of heel. And there's room for 2 of them, like for both of them to kind of mess around with one another,
I do feel though that they could put on a good show with each other. So on that side of things, I think I don't want it to happen. But if Rollins came back as a babyface and then he went up against Kevin Owens and Kevin Owens took that mantle of being the top heel, that would be pretty sweet to watch.
I think that's just my dream match there.
WrestleMania 33.
Yeah, just Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins is sold. I will buy my plane tickets now.
The last part of this match, after the match, which just made it so much better, was Kevin Owens walking over to the announcer's table, laying the title in front of Cole, and just shaking his head before saying, "I'm keeping my eyes on you." Good work, Kevin Owens. Good work.
No, those 2 are definitely my favourite feud at the moment. Just
what, Kevin Owens versus Mike?
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of favourite feuds, the next match came up was the Wyatt family versus Ryback, Kane and Big Show.
Oh my god. This is the one time and I will go on a rant here. The one time I'll go on a rant.
Everybody's favourite feud. This was my go to the kitchen break, so Ollie, take it away.
Oh my, okay. Going into this, I thought the feud was alright. It kind of kept the Wyatts busy and building them up. Being put against Big Show, Kane and Ryback. Yes, Ryback had recently re-debuted under his new Goldberg-esque looking gimmick. But, I thought, alright, this is a way to build up the 3 guys. Bray's picked up a couple of wins, so now it's time to actually build up his rest of his stable, get some wins under their belt, and actually rebuild the Wyatt family and do some damage control on the shit show of a booking that they've been receiving for the past God knows how long now. So we get to the match. It's a pretty good match, considering it's 6 big guys. There's not really that many fast-paced guys between them other than Luke Harper and Ryback, who surprisingly actually starting to pick up the pace. But when you get down to the stretch of it, Ryback picks up the fucking victory over Luke Harper. The fuck? This is the Wyatt family. This is your big heel stable, bar the Authority. This is the people you should special attractions. These are your new Undertaker and his ministry, and you make them lose over and over and over again. It's getting ridiculous at this point. Like, I'm a massive fan of the Wyatt family, and now I don't think they should even be on WrestleMania because they've not won enough matches to actually make themselves be there. Like, it's goddamn fucking ridiculous the way they're being treated right now.
Yeah, Stephen, you're one of the biggest Bray Wyatt fans that I've known. You must be losing faith again by now.
I hate it. I hate what they're doing with them. I couldn't agree any more with what Ollie's just said there. I mean, the start to get
deep size says it all.
The start to give them some momentum again, and the pick up, and then they chuck them in this match, and I expected them to get the win. I just expected them to carry on with what they were doing, all this devastation and destruction that they've been doing on Raw, and the promos that Bray's been cutting after the matches, the ramblings of a kind of mad cult leader, talking to nobody in particular, sometimes just himself, but selling it completely, and then it gets to the pay-per-view and they just let them lose every time. Like, and the creative team clearly just think the way to get around that is by not having Bray in the match, and then it's alright. As long as Bray's not in the match and he doesn't lose,
but
then
that's
it's
the thing.
then
Like,
it's
up
okay.
until this point, he had been in the matches. He had been losing the feuds. He'd lost to Roman Reigns. He lost to Dean Ambrose. He lost. He's been picking up these losses, and it's only recently they're like, "Oh shit, we need to actually, take Bray out and actually treat him as a special attraction," which is why I like the booking of this feud, because it wasn't going to be Bray involved himself. It was going to be his monsters. But how can he be the new face of fear? How can he be the eater of worlds when his stable can't pick up a bloody victory? I mean, this is the one match in the whole pay-per-view tonight where the WWE decided not to be fucking predictable. This wasn't the match not to be predictable on. This was the one match you had to be predictable on and let the Wyatt family win.
I don't even think that's necessarily true, Ollie. They could have lost, but lose because, they go all out and just viciously attack and main every single one of them.
And if
they didn't even have to win, but
like you said, even if they had to let Ryback pick up the win because he's re-debuted, let Braun, Rowan, and Bray just beat the ever-living piss out of the rest of them. This is Kane and the Big Show. They should have retired 2 or 3 fucking years ago. Like, I'm sorry for all the Big Show and Kane fans. Yes, they're great. Yes, they're going to go into the Hall of Fame. But they should have retired 3 years ago. Kane should have retired after Team Hell No. Big Show should have retired after the 50th face turn he did in the past year. It's just, no.
Okay, Ollie, it's fine. It's alright. It's not real. It's okay. Chelsea, do you actually have anything to add at this point?
Not particularly, no. I'm on the exact same wavelength as Ollie and Stephen there. I honestly thought this feud was purely for the fact of to give the Wyatts a fucking win. Yeah. And we didn't get it. Like, those 3 guys, like Ollie said, Kane and the Big Show, I don't even know why the fuck they are still in this company. Well, maybe not the company, why they're still wrestling, just throw them backstage. I couldn't give a fuck. But, yeah, AKA, just please give the fucking Wyatts a win, please. Two
interesting points in this match. The first one, Big Show, military pressing and throwing Harper out of the ring was pretty cool. Second one, we all know of Ryback versus CM Punk. Was Ryback doing those running Shining Wizard's knees into the corner? Some sort of dig at Punk.
Been doing this for a while now. He's changing up his repertoire a bit, and you see him on Twitter whenever someone goes down injured. He even did it when O'Brien retired, saying "shotgun the running knee." And I know we laughed.
Do you know what? If John Cena would do that, he would have got torn to pieces.
But
I just think it's strange with. I mean, it was quite recently that Ryback tweeted about. He apologised for when CM Punk had to have surgery. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry, this was probably my fault too." And I just think this feud that they've had, this legitimate ongoing feud that they've had, I don't think that running Shining Wizard knees into the corner spot that he did was anything it wasn't a coincidence in my eyes. He must be trying to get to Punk for some reason.
I've got to say, he delivered them bloody well.
The first one, he nearly chucked himself out of the ring, didn't he? He went that far in. But I must admit, since Ryback on Raw and then at the actual pay-per-view, I must admit I didn't actually mind his performance. I thought that little bit of extra speed that he seems to have picked up, around his wrestling moves, has definitely added something to his character. I just think this was the wrong time for them to be giving him the win, because that's the only person that I can see that they were interested in giving the win to him, because obviously it's going to do nothing for the Big Show or Kane. I mean, when will they fight again? I think that the win was solely set up for Ryback to get some momentum for whatever reason. Only they know.
Well, this is the question I have now. Is this setting up for Ryback Bray at Mania? Because that is not something I can buy into.
No. They've already done it. Did Bray win that one? Is that the one? Oh, no, that was the one feud Bray won. The one feud Bray won this past year was against Ryback. Well,
there you go. That's Ryback's reasoning. Oh, but he didn't beat Ryberg, so he has to beat Ryberg. Either way, I think we can forget about this match. It was not an interesting match to go to. Now, I want to, at this point, we're going into the next match, and I want to read a tweet, and it's from @RealMickFoley. It said, @BellaTwins, #Brie and Miss Charlotte WWE made us care and then delivered. That's what pro wrestling is all about. I loved it. #WWE Fastlane. Chelsea, how much weed was Mick Foley smoking? Because this match was not, I did not care, and it did not deliver for me.
No, I keep ranting about Charlotte, and she, okay, right. Even in NXT, I did not think that she was the best of wrestlers, or she was good. She was one of the better ones down there, but as she's come up, her heel persona, it's better than when she tried to be face. But she is one of the worst sellers of anything I have ever seen in my goddamn life. This match just wound me up. I was rooting for Brie through the whole thing, and I really couldn't care about the Bella Twins at all. But
yeah, we need to preface this by saying the fact that you, Ollie, and Russ all, for some crazy, stupid reason, thought that Brie Bella was going to get this win tonight.
That was just pure hope. Pure hope.
But then you would have had Brie defending it at Mania, and that is not...
It wasn't ever going to be that.
No.
For me, predicting Brie was always a case of giving her something because she's going to retire now. That was, I think, fairly certain that is Brie's kind of last match. Last serious match. She may, have a match at WrestleMania.
She'll be on the Battle Royale. Yeah, she'll be on the Battle Royale on the pre-show with fucking Natalia and everybody.
I thought it'd be fitting, give Brie the win here, give her a fluke victory, she can retire the belt, and then the next day vacate it. Sky High thinking was they bring back the women's title, so that's not going to happen. But, it was more of a case of, give Brie the win here, it's, feel good booking, and then she moves on, and her and Brian have a happy life together, get to move on from wrestling. I wouldn't say this match was a bad match, though. Oh no, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it was I'm not saying it's a D or an E, but clunky in places, sure. But if Brie worked to her best of her ability, so Brie can look back, quite fondly on this match, and it had its moments, and it's not been the worst Divas match we've seen. We a year or two ago we were seeing far worse Divas matches. So I wouldn't necessarily rub it off completely, and it had a bit of emotion to it with the whole Daniel Bryan thing, but it was all Daniel Bryan all over this. For starters, she's wearing his kick pads from WrestleMania 30, the goat furry ones, which look strange with the rest of her attire. They just look weird. Then she's doing the yes lock, countered the figure eight with a yes lock, which was pretty cool. But I just didn't care.
I didn't care what was going to happen. I knew Charlotte was going to win. Didn't care about that either. It was just all too procedural for me.
We didn't get a bit of colour.
I know that was the only colour of the night. I was sure that Brock Lesnar was going to bleed, but no, we did get some colour in this match. Stephen, was this the time you started to fall asleep?
Oh no, I'd fallen asleep long before this. I don't think I watched this match till about 5 in the morning. I had to go back, keep going back. But I kind of agree with Ollie on this as well. I don't think the match itself was particularly bad. I thought Brie put up a hell of a better performance than I've certainly seen from her recently. Although I confess I don't watch her matches with 100% attention when they're on. But I didn't expect her to win. But I thought she definitely put up a showing. I just I didn't like how they kind of put it down to her losing for her sort of hurting her leg. Like she came off the top rope, didn't she? And
with a drop kick.
She started playing with on her hurting her leg, and that was kind of why I think they tried to sell it as that was how she lost the match.
I must say, if she hasn't legitimately hurt her leg, she was selling it well with those facial expressions, man. She looked like she was in tears. Do you think that was a case of this is my retirement match?
I certainly got that impression when she went for the pinfall after the face slam that she did in
the X Factor.
The X Factor, yeah, that were it. And she went for the pin and she just kicked out. And I thought that was genuine emotion on her face there. I did genuinely think that was kind of a sort of, moment of sort of realisation. It certainly does look like she's on her way out. I thought
that was the report, wasn't it? It was she's either going to retire after Fastlane or at least stick on till Mania. I can't see why you wouldn't stick on till Mania, but if you're going to going out with a loss for the Divas title is probably the best way to go, I suppose.
Yeah, and as usual, Ric Flair's animations on the sideline when Brie had the yes lock in was priceless. So he's gonna have an heart attack on that side one day, I'm telling you.
He has him already, you just can't tell. He's just having it there. That's him literally having his heart attack. Is there anything else to be said about this match? Because I'm all out for it. I couldn't care less about this match. You guys are a little more higher on it, so is there any parts that stuck out to you?
I think I was really unhappy with how it ended. I mean, I know she's probably selling like her leg injury and stuff like that, but it was the most pathetic tap out I've ever seen, and so close to the ropes as well.
Yeah, it was a bit strange that it happened also quickly.
Yeah, but no, just the fact she was floppily tapping out within like a millisecond when you could even see her like her hand was pretty much touching the ropes at this point, and yeah, it was just a bad ending to the match. It wasn't a horrific match, but at the same time, I think the ending just made it that much worse.
Well, I think that's all that's to be said for the Divas title match. Charlotte wins with the figure eight and goes on to Mania, which we assume will be the triple threat match with Sasha Banks and Lynch. I guess the next 6 weeks they'll tell us, but it's got to be the triple threat match, right?
Certainly hope so.
Good. Well, moving on to if Kevin Owens' match was 1A, this was definitely 1B. That's Chris Jericho versus AJ Styles. Now, these two can obviously wrestle with the best of them, but on a card like this match was so physical. Like the bumps they took and the hits they took, the drop kicks they took. But man, these guys must have gone to the back and just applied their ice packs immediately, because they must have been hurting after this one.
We were saying it like as we were watching, just how bloody stiff it was looking, like the forearm chops the backhanded fist, the elbows that Styles was delivering as he was running into the corner. Just
Jericho doing the drop kick on the diving Styles over the ropes.
And down the outside. It was you could tell these guys have both worked in Japan. Because this was a typical kind of match that you'd see over there in terms of the physicality and the stiffness you were getting. They weren't afraid to, tag each other up, get each other going red, and it just made it that much more interesting and just that much. It's not a match that you tend to see, it's not a match style of match that you get to see in the WWE often. So for those two to really deliver, I loved it. Like, this was my match of the night tonight.
Yeah. Chelsea, once again, two of your favourite people to watch in wrestling. Did it live up to your hype?
Yeah, definitely. Like Ollie said, this was definitely the match of the night for me. Again, like Ollie said, you can tell they've worked in Japan. These two, they complement each other so well in the ring. And the bump, it was just a perfect, fast pace. It was what I was expecting from these two at a pay-per-view. It was really, really enjoyable. And yeah, I'm not going to be surprised if they're black and blue this morning.
I mean, it was which one? It was AJ Styles hitting Jericho. It was the one where he does the back arm.
Yeah,
the back fist.
Yeah, and he didn't connect properly, but when it connected, man, it just sounded like it hurt. Stephen, you must have been awake for this one.
Yeah, I enjoyed this one a lot. I think the feud that they've had since the Royal Rumble has been one of the better feuds that we've seen.
100%.
For the last couple of years, I think that Jericho's been his usual brilliant self at these kind of things, and you can see why he's always appears to be the go-to guy when a new wrestler signs with the WWE. Whether there be a rookie or whether there be someone with AJ Styles' experience. They seem to come to Jericho to sort of lead them in for that first feud, and I think what they put on before this pay-per-view, and then for this, if this is the decider, which the handshake kind of suggested that it would be. And
also Jericho on Twitter said that AJ Styles is phenomenal, so I think that pretty much cinches up this one.
Yeah,
it's done.
It was. And I think the only problem is I think that's a bit of a shame, really. I would have liked to have seen them fight again at WrestleMania. I don't know how they would have dragged it out for 6 weeks, but
that's what I called. I called it Jericho would get the win tonight, and AJ Styles would, claim for revenge, and they'd go to WrestleMania. I'm sad that doesn't seem to be happening, but take nothing away from the match tonight. AJ Styles gets the win. We've not said it yet. AJ Styles gets the win with the calf crusher, which I've only just worked out actually what he does with his legs during this match, because I was watching it in his Raw matches and his SmackDown match with him, and I couldn't work out in which angle he puts his knee. I was like, what is going on here? It's just some magic that I'm watching, some voodoo. But I worked it out tonight, so I'm proud of myself. I know that's pathetic, but I was proud.
Right. Well, I'm glad you are, because I still don't know. I watched that one from Raw where he was in the corner and he pulled it out, and I've watched it about 10 times and I still don't know how he does it. I still don't know how he managed to do it, but he can certainly do the move, and Jericho certainly sold it, especially at the pay-per-view last night. It was just a great matchup, and I would happily see them fight again some way down the road, and I think it's safe to say that AJ Styles has definitely made it to the WWE.
He's cemented his position, hasn't he?
Yes,
Ollie,
absolutely.
When he tapped out to the calf crusher, I think you said, and I quote, "No way." Was you not happy with him losing by tapping out?
I just didn't This is the first time Chris Jericho's lost via submission in about 4 years. So it's just kind of like, holy shit.
So it was more of shock rather than you did not want that to go that way.
No, exactly. It was more of a case of, oh crap, that actually, Chris Jericho actually tapped out. And as well, it's surprising, and I've seen a few people online complaining already that, Jericho's managed to get his shoulder up after the Styles clash, which has led to a few people being a little testy online.
Yeah, I was going to get to that one. Jericho kicked out the Styles clash, and Twitter went a bit crazy. I don't think that was really necessary, but there you go.
I think it's something we have to get used to, in the kind of style of the WWE, that finishers do get kicked out of in matches like this. It's always going to happen. We're always going to see it. And with a move like the Styles clash, which is known to be quite risque as it is, and it's not going to be a move that Styles is going to be able to hit on a lot of guys,
Yeah.
Like, he seemed to struggle to get it on Chris Jericho at some point.
Well, he was picking him up as dead weight, though, wasn't he? I mean, that's not his usual setup for it, so I'll give him...
When he tried to do it to Roman Reigns in the Rumble, it still looked like, is he going to be able to lift him?
Oh, I have no doubt he could have lifted him, but Roman Reigns is just far too big. He's just far too long of a body for him to get it on.
So I think that's why we're seeing him win more of the style with the calf crusher.
Calf crusher
is because that's going to be his actual finisher.
Do we get his finisher off the top ropes at some point?
The spiral tap.
Yeah. Do we get it at some point?
I believe we probably will do potentially at WrestleMania. I think it's going to be a lot like Seth Rollins' 450 Phoenix Splash.
Yes.
It's going to be one of those type where when he does hit it, it's going to be like, oh my god. It's going to be one of those things where it's going to be rare. He's going to try and attempt it every now and then, because we've not seen him go to the top rope yet. We're still yet to really see what he can do from the top as a WWE.
But he went to the top, didn't he? Was it his match against The Miz? He went up to the top, and then I think it was JBL was saying, "Oh, are we going to see it? Are we going to see it?" And then it didn't happen.
To it, aren't they?
Yeah, that's it.
He's got a third finisher.
Yeah, just mention it. I wanna mention a couple of moments in this match. One, Jericho's Lion Salt, still one of my favourites. The Lion Salt's fantastic. Two, the Lion Tamer.
I love him busting that out on the outside.
I didn't think he would do it to Styles with his poor back, and then three, AJ Styles moonsault reverse DDT.
He just couldn't hit it, could he?
Yeah, I'm so sad that he didn't quite nail it. He got it, but I don't think he didn't get it all.
I think if he'd actually managed to land that, this match would have been up there with Match of the Year candidate. I think that one moment, that's what was missing from this match, was that one more little something special. If he had connected with the moonsault DDT, my god, it would have been... I mean, it was, he's still vaguely kind of connected with it, as they say about John Cena and his springboard stunner. He didn't quite connect with all of it.
He didn't get it all, but he got some of it, yeah. Well, AJ Styles gets the victory there, and then on Twitter after the event comes one Kevin Owens. Hey dweebs, if AJ Styles ever comes anywhere near my Intercontinental title, I'll take him out in less time than it took for me to toss him out of the Rumble. Chelsea, you must be salivating at the possibility.
Yeah, just a little bit. I think like you say, now that this Jericho feud with Styles is done and dusted, and hopefully this Kevin Owens and Ziggler one is, hopefully we actually get a storyline continuing from the Rumble, and we do get to see these two. I'm hoping for one of them to come out tonight while the other one is cutting a promo or something like that. So fingers crossed this is the way it's going forward, and we get Kevin Owens, AJ Styles for the Intercontinental Championship at Mania, and I would lose my freaking mind.
I think that's how they've got to go with it. Like, I think to go back to the USA title, I think that's going to be our multi-man match. Probably another ladder match like we had with the Intercontinental title last year, and then it's going to be the Intercontinental title this year that gets that one-on-one series feud.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. This is going to be a one-on-one match, and I think it's got to be AJ Styles, right? I mean, I don't know who else. To be honest, Kevin Owens will make it good for anybody, really, wouldn't he? But still, I mean, I'd be a bit surprised if it was anybody but him.
I can still hope for the Undertaker, right?
No.
I mean, you can hope. You're in your right to hope, but I mean,
Undertaker versus Kevin Owens.
It ain't happening.
Too many. I was going to say, speaking of guys progressing feuds on Twitter, I was just looking at Bray Wyatt, and his recent one after last night was Dark Knight, Bright Days, ? Is he going for the tag titles?
Well, you've kindly given us a segue there to what was an interesting...
Should have been on the pre-show.
Yes.
This next half an hour
Now,
should have been on the pre-show.
Let's premise this, Stephen. It was shit, right? Okay, it was. However, it started so fantastically that I tweeted out myself, laugh out loud moments at the beginning of this one. Edge and Christian were on fire. I mean, it obviously wasn't, but I hope it was all ad hoc. It was all just, freestyle, rather than written, because lines such as "I've never seen so much chocolate accent," it just made me laugh out so much. And what was the other one? If me, Christian, and Beyonce had a threesome, they should be our children. Oh man, they were on fire, and then it just went so downhill. It seemed to tease up nicely for Chelsea's and Oliver's dream of Enzo and Cass coming out when the New Day were listing off the teams that they'd beaten the Dudleys, they'd beaten the Usos, they'd beaten the League of Nations. And at that point you think, well, there's only one thing to do, and that's introduce a new one. And then, no. What they do is introduce, once again, the League of Nations. Why? Why do that?
For me, my thought process throughout this entire segment was, up until this point, we had been given a solid 2 hours plus half an hour on the was it 2 hours about that? Well, about an hour and a half, 2 hours of a really good pay-per-view. We've seen some really good matches. Yes, some of the booking may have been a little, so far, looking back at the Wyatts, but we'd seen 2 stellar singles matches, a really good pre-show match, and some good tag teams. It was like, awesome, WWE are really delivering on a solid Fastlane. Whilst we kind of knew what was going to happen, it's still been really, really good. And then you get the first 5 minutes of this, where it's like you said, they're doing the back and forth of the New Day and Edge and Christian, they're coming out with these single one-liners. And it was after the first 5 or 10 minutes or so, it's like, and get to Enzo and Cass. Get to Enzo and Cass. And then it just started to sink in when it was like, this isn't building to anything, is it? This is just these 2 teams fucking around in the middle of the ring, which I can appreciate from a comedy standpoint, but this could have just been on the pre-show. And then when the League of Nations came out, it's like, okay, this definitely should have been on the fucking pre-show.
I think what made this worse was the League of Nations apparently missing their cue. Xavier was like, but we're not going to talk about them. Oh, let's talk about them anyway, because they're not actually here yet. It's like, what? Are they meant to be coming? And then the music hits, you're like, oh yeah, there it is. It's like, oh. What was the thinking?
Like if when you put something like this in the last hour, like this last thing before the main event, a big interview section like this, you've got to believe that something big's going to happen, otherwise they wouldn't give it this much time. Because they gave it 20 fucking minutes in like the prime time slot of the pay-per-view. You got to believe that they were planning on doing something, because it was getting the crowd hyped up at this point. You could see it all on Twitter, people saying, oh my god, here they come, oh my god, it's going to be Enzo and Cass, oh my god, it's going to be amazing. Like, if they
and in the end, I was right, and it was just a moment of shameless self-promotion.
Which is why this should have been on the pre-show, because if you put this on the pre-show, then of course you're not going to build up people's expectations to what they thought it was going to be. While the fans may be in the wrong believing something was going to happen when it didn't, the WWE should have known that by putting this on this position in the card, that's what people are going to believe is going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think necessarily this being on the pre-show would have made it any better.
It would have tempered expectations.
Why not have this after the first match or after the second match? Why have it at this key slot in the pay-per-view?
I just think they could have tempered expectations so much. And why give it 20 minutes as well? This didn't need it. You could have given an extra 5 minutes to the main event, which I think needed a little bit longer despite how good it was.
Well, speaking of wasting time, this was all followed up then by Curtis Axel versus R-Truth. Stephen, what the fuck?
I have no idea. I don't know why it was on. I don't know why. Was it just another thing to start this gold dust and the golden truth?
Well, I said to Wally halfway through, do you think that this was just an on-the-fly call because they had mistimed the show and there was too much time left?
If they mistimed the show, just give them out to the main event.
Yeah, they've already planned it out, though, haven't they? That's the thing.
It can't be hard to tell Brock Lesnar to just do 5 more minutes of suplexes.
That's a very good point, yeah. Chelsea, you're a massive Curtis Axel fan, right?
I'm not sure where that's come from, but yeah, let's go with it.
Yeah, the obvious thing to come out of this was at least a funny R-Truth versus Goldust moment, and we didn't even get that.
Nah, I think as soon as the whole Edge and Christian thing, when we did get Enzo and Cass and the League of Nations came out, like, I started to get quite mad, like, really quite mad. And then for them to follow up with this, like, you guys are saying that Edge and Christian show thing should have been on the pre-show. This match should have been on the fucking pre-show.
Yeah.
When you have a championship match on a pre-show and we get this before the main event, this is when you know shit is going downhill. Like, obviously, there wasn't enough matches on the card. They didn't give enough time to the majority of them. And you can see halfway through, they've just gone, shit, what are we going to do? We've got, I mean, the pay-per-view in itself wasn't even 3 hours long. Like, it was
finished at about 45, wasn't it? So.
Yeah, it was 2 hours 45. Like, it just made me really angry. There was no need for it at all. Like, I think just the thing that really did annoy me was having the championship match on the pre-show and then having this before the main event. Like, the pay-per-view wasn't bad, but from the Edge and Christian thing forward, it was a shit show. And the main event, it just all went downhill.
Don't get ahead of yourself, Chelsea. We'll get to the main event in a minute.
Oh, I've got
you can have that rant of that A4 piece of paper you've got rolled up.
Like, if they really needed to throw something out there, like, they could have cut the Edge and Christian down to this show by 10 minutes, not done the social outcast thing at all. And if they needed another match, give us the Dudleys versus the Usos. They're having a fucking feud. It makes sense to put it on the pay-per-view. The recently champion Dudleys versus the Usos would make sense.
Why?
One of my favourite things on Twitter from this was from Ringside Collectibles, and they said, this is not pay-per-view worthy. This is something that you have on Sunday Night Heat. It's like, why is this even here? I mean, this doesn't even fit on Raw or SmackDown. This is a Superstars level.
R-Truth hasn't been on Raw or SmackDown in God knows how long.
You are?
R-Truth hasn't been on Raw or SmackDown in God knows how long.
Other than these funny segments, yeah. That's it. I don't know, man. I don't know what they're thinking. I genuinely believe this was a we need to fill some time, quick, send these lot out.
And it was the worst idea they've ever fucking done.
I can't think of any other reason though, Chelsea. I'm in 100% agreement with you. Like, this was a shit, we've got an hour to fill with one match, what are we going to do? And it just shows that they haven't got a brain between them backstage. If they think this is a good thing to hype the crowd up or before the main event, like, you could tell that the crowd, they could not have cared less even if you had a gun to their head. Me and Ollie got excited. We looked at the clock and we went, they've got 50 minutes. There's an hour, they've got 10 minutes for their entrances, and we've got a 50-minute main event here.
That's what I thought. I thought this was going to get messy. That's literally what I thought. I thought we're going to have 50 minutes and there's just going to be blood and carnage all over the ring.
Alas... I forgot
the social outcasts were about.
Like, one thing that watching it did make me think and realise about the social outcasts is they've got something organic and amazing with the New Day, who are witty, who are charming, who are really funny. You can tell they write their own material and they get what's funny. And then you have the social outcasts, which is what the WWE thinks is funny, which is clearly written by the guys backstage. And they're trying to do the same witty type of stick the New Day's doing it, only it's not written by actual comedians, which, frankly, Xavier Rhodes, Big E, and Kofi Kingston at this point just are and kind of things they can come up with. Whereas the Social Outcast is clearly written by someone backstage who finds it fucking hilarious, when it's just like, go fuck away.
Yes, Dallas claiming he wants to be a Volvo because it has great safety ratings.
Like, that type of bullshit, it's like, you can tell it's just someone backstage thinking, oh, I am so funny.
There's only one word to describe this, and I'm going to borrow it from Big E and say that whole segment was just booty. That's all it was. It was just straight up booty. Move on. Let's forget that ever happened. Chelsea, rant away for your main event. Go.
Okay. This is just going to turn into a Roman Reigns rant, I think. Like, if I didn't like him before, I really don't fucking like him now. Like, okay, the match, it was alright. Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar were by far the actual workers. Although burying Brock Lesnar into the Spanish announce table and Dean Ambrose just I thought that was hilarious when they buried him in and Dean Ambrose tried to stamp on it and he was just standing on this little sheet on the end. Like, put some effort into it. But no, Roman Reigns is literally the he cannot sell anything.
You're so angry you can't even articulate.
No, I know, I can't, I don't even know what I'm talking about. But, I think the thing that annoyed me the most was how the match ended. I mean, you've got Roman and Lesnar brawling in the middle of the ring and gets Roman Reigns into the Kimura lock. And even the announcers were saying at this point, like, this hold, it breaks arms. This submission move, it tapped out The Undertaker at SummerSlam. And then Roman fucking Reigns decides, he can pick up Brock Lesnar, get out of this. He takes 3 fucking chair shots, doesn't even flinch, gets up fresh as a daisy, one spear to Dean Ambrose, and it's over.
Well, he's wearing Yellow Brown's chest protector, so of course the chest shots aren't doing anything because he's allowed to wear bloody body armor.
Wow, a D'Lo Brown shout out.
But seriously, if Roman Reigns wasn't, in these last 6 weeks up to Mania now, things are only going to go downhill. It's the exact same predicament we were in 2 years ago when we had Randy Orton and Batista as the main event. People aren't just going to care at all. And for me, all I'm doing is crossing my fingers and just asking Triple H to bury somebody just one last time.
Now, Roman Reigns has got the title. We predicted it. Everyone predicted it. Stephen, did you predict that one?
Yeah.
So everyone's predicted that one. However, as bad as a shame that might be, I'm not necessarily down on the fact we're going to get Roman Reigns versus Triple H at WrestleMania. It's just a shame we've had to go through a very predictive route to get there. You know, I'm more than happy to watch this match. I just wish I didn't see it from SummerSlam. You know.
It's where we're at the exact same position that we were last year's Fastlane when Roman Reigns beat Daniel Bryan to go into WrestleMania. We're at the exact same point. The same emotions are still there, the same animosity, the same kind of, oh, for fuck's sake, why don't you listen to us and give us what we want? Back then we wanted Daniel Bryan. This time we wanted Dean Ambrose. Like, it's just... It never...
But we don't have Seth Rollins with Money in the Bank this year to even think about something like that happening, though. This is literally going to be...
I know, agreed. I'm not saying...
100,000 people booing at the end of WrestleMania this year.
And honestly, I'm looking forward to fucking seeing it, because I think that's what Vince needs to realise, that you don't know what you're doing anymore.
Do you think they're going to put this as main event?
They've got to. The WWE title. What else?
They don't have to.
What else are you going to get that's going to main event? No Cena, no
Kevin Owens.
Wrestling.
Kevin
Owens is not going to main event with the Intercontinental title. Sting's not going to be there because he's in a wheelchair.
Well, we all know what it's going to main event. It's going to be John Cena versus Undertaker.
I am actually crying out for Super Cena to come back at this point. Like, just John Cena, please come back and take the. I'd rather hate John Cena and have him win the title another 20 million times than have to go through this with Roman Reigns.
With John Cena and his strange Instagram picture postings where it always seems to mean something. He put up a picture of the Undertaker the other day. He got out of the Daytona 500 stuff that he was doing, and now he says he's going to be training 12 hours a day. He's on the warpath to be there for Mania, and there's only one person he's facing, and that's the Undertaker. And he's going to make it.
I will gladly take that as the main event. I will gladly take that as the main event of WrestleMania.
It's going to be Roman Reigns versus Triple H. It's Triple H. He's the chairman. He's got to be in the main event. You can't have as good if the Undertaker still had his streak, then maybe. And even when it was Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker, they didn't let that go on last.
I suppose the WWE title should take precedence, but
I think
Just
the
sit
thing
back,
is, they're
relax,
not.
and enjoy the ride that is going to be this disaster piece.
There's
Because
only-
I've just looked up now, and the following 6 shows for Raw are emanating at the following places. February 22nd, we are in Detroit tonight. On February 29th, we're in Nashville. On March 7th, we're in Chicago. On March 14th, we're in Pittsburgh. On March 21st, we're in Philadelphia. On March 28th, we're in Brooklyn.
the Boo squads are going to be out in
Yeah.
force.
3 of those are the heaviest, smarkiest crowds known to wrestling fans: Chicago, Philly, and Brooklyn. Detroit can be. Nashville, depends on the moment. And Pittsburgh's a bit, again, But your run up to WrestleMania is Philly and Brooklyn.
If they do not realise something is wrong and make some drastic changes, then WrestleMania is just going to be a shit show for 50% of it. And all I can say is I'm looking forward to NXT TakeOver Dallas.
Now, we've not actually hit on the match itself, have we? We've not really talked about the match. Stephen, talk about the match. Did you actually enjoy the match itself?
I enjoyed the match. I think because everybody knew that Roman Reigns was going to win this, I think they've used the match to basically set up Brock Lesnar and Dean Ambrose for WrestleMania. I think the original plan was for Brock to fight Bray. I think that's how they set it up. But I think the chemistry that Dean has brought to the feud with Brock Lesnar, I think they've quickly decided that needs to happen at WrestleMania.
Well, it was the only one who brought anything to this triple threat match.
Absolutely. And at least they've done that with it. I'm quite happy to see Dean Ambrose take on Brock Lesnar. I don't think he's going to win. I don't think he has a chance. However, it's just funny seeing him get up all the time and have his face, pull his faces, and take Brock Lesnar to his kind of take him to the limit in thinking how crazy he is. I enjoyed the match. It's just a shame that it was so predictable. And I Chelsea said it there. Brock Lesnar took 3 chair shots and literally rolled out of the ring and couldn't move. However, Roman Reigns took 3 and it seemed to energise him. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. It is a crazy situation where the Beast takes 3 chair shots and sells it like a good one, and then Roman Reigns just has the ability to spear people anyway. These were hard chair shots as well.
Yeah, I really wasn't, with that spear, I was really not expecting the match to end there. I mean, we got Roman Reigns kicking out of a dirty deeds from Ambrose, and I thought, okay, we're going to get Ambrose kicking out from the spear, and
what a dirty deeds that was.
Yeah.
That dirty deeds was vicious.
It needed that extra kick out from Ambrose on that spear, and just to give that match another 5, maybe even 10 minutes for it to just build to something, because
this match was getting there. This match was very reminiscent of the triple threat that we saw at Royal Rumble, between Cena, Brock Lesnar, and Rollins. It was similar kind of booking, similar kind of disaster show. Brock Lesnar throwing people around, Brock Lesnar then getting taken out by both of them, Lesnar getting put through tables. Even under the triple threat from Royal Rumble, we had Brock Lesnar decimated by the Phoenix Splash to the ribs, and we all thought, shit, Brock Lesnar's broken his fucking ribs. And then did his, fuck me, I'm Brock Lesnar, and just managed to jump in there out of nowhere. And we kind of needed that extra kind of because it was a very good triple threat match. You can't deny that it was a strong, up there with the Owens versus Ziggler match in terms of what we were seeing in the ring. It just needed that something more. Even if all it was going to lead to was Roman Reigns winning, at least it would have made us probably leaving a little happier seeing Dean Ambrose kick out.
And then all we're going to get tonight on Raw is just Ambrose and Reigns looking at each other, and Ambrose is just going to shake his hand and be like, "Oh, you beat me fair and square, well done," and then he's just going to.
Well, if that does happen, then Paul Heyman's then going to come out, because he said on Twitter, he went on a massive rant about Brock Lesnar, which I don't think I really need to read out because it was quite a lot of it. But basically, the end part is he's going to be there at Raw tonight, and he's not coming alone. He's bringing Brock Lesnar, so Lesnar's there tonight. That must be setting up whatever his WrestleMania match is going to be. Is this anything but Ambrose now?
No.
It's got to be Ambrose now.
It doesn't make sense for it not to be.
The only other thing, it's either going to be Ambrose or it's going to be Bray Wyatt. there can't be anything else. But Bray Wyatt's now looking weaker than ever, so I don't know, man. It's got to be Ambrose in my eyes.
It's got to be, it's going to be Roman Triple H, Dean versus Brock, and Dean versus Brock's going to be a very fun, chaotic match, like we saw the two interact together last night.
But the thing is, without that third person in the match, what's Ambrose going to do to Lesnar?
What's anyone ever done to Lesnar? It's going to be similar to Cena, similar to Rollins, similar to Roman Reigns when he took him on. It's going to be that type of match, but Dean Ambrose is just portrayed as being that stupid and that crazy that he could just pick up the win. And he's got a chance of being, people are going to buy into Dean Ambrose beating Brock Lesnar far more than they do anybody else right now.
Ambrose sold all of the suplexes super well, and then Ambrose trying to German suplex Brock Lesnar was a moment that brought some joy to my heart. Now, out of all these matches, I'm reading on Bleacher Report. The guy on Bleacher Report, Ryan Dilbert, he put this as the best match of the night at A+, and the AJ Styles and then the Kevin Owens match is both at A-. I don't know what people watch sometimes, or what they prefer, because this was not a bad match, but it weren't the best of the night by any means, was it?
If they, like I said, we said earlier, if they'd given an extra 5 or 10 minutes, it could have been easily. They just didn't let it go that long, or as long as it needed to.
Well, I think that's everything that's got to be said for this event itself. Now, the only thing left to do is for us just to make some predictions as to what the Mania matches are going to be. So we've definitely got Roman Reigns versus Triple H for the title. Lesnar, we're saying Ambrose?
Yeah.
If
it's not John Cena, who is The Undertaker fighting?
Somebody not on the roster.
Yeah, I think at this point, the best thing for them to do, unless it is someone like Cena coming back from injury, I think the best thing they can do is leave it as a surprise on the night. As long as it's someone worthwhile, I think the best thing they can do is just let The Undertaker come out and then just have that surprise come out. Even if it is Cena at that point, I think everybody will be happy to have him back really after the next 6 weeks.
How would you book it as for it to be a surprise? Taker come down on Raw, say this is an open invitation, and then someone accepts that he says they'll find out later who. How do you do this?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, everybody knows we're guaranteed an Undertaker match at WrestleMania unless we do get him coming out on Raw to say he is retiring or something like that. But I think the best thing...
He's not retiring. There's not been near enough fanfare for him to be retiring.
Even after Survivor Series?
Even after Survivor Series. If this was his last rodeo and it was in his, it was in Texas, it would have been said and it would have been a massive, massive rodeo about it. I mean, it would be a circus.
We'd see it all tonight. Tonight would be build up to Undertaker.
Yeah.
To say.
You think?
If it is,
I just feel as though that they would have been doing this for a long time. Calling his shot like basketball players do and saying this is going to be my last season. I just think Undertaker would have said it ages ago. This is going to be my last ride. Last ride. Did not mean that either.
I'm not intended.
Right, tag team match. We've got the New Day champions. Who they're going to go up against? Do you think Enzo and Cass are getting called up? Or is it now? Has that now jumped the shark?
I don't think we're getting Enzo and Cass until after Mania. We're probably going to see them against New Day versus the Dudleys versus the League.
Yeah, I can definitely see this being like triple threat, fatal 4-way tag team match. There is no, unless we do get a hell of a lot of setups tonight. The tag teams and the US Championship, I think we are going to get. They're not going to be one-on-ones.
Stephen, tag team match. Who's it going to be? Who at WrestleMania is going to be fighting for the tag team titles?
I think it has to be. It has to be the Dudleys, surely, after the sort of the heel turn that they took, 2 weeks ago. I really hope it's not the League of Nations. I really hope that wasn't just a thing to set up some kind of thing with them, because I just can't buy into it.
The League of Nations.
Pre-show.
Doing what? Having them
Well, there's 2 hours.
again.
It's a 2-hour pre-show. We're all right. They've got plenty of time.
Just have them all. Just stick them all in a ring and have them fight each other to the death.
Just put them all in the Andre Memorial Battle Royal, whatever it is.
There we
called.
go. Sorted.
And then, happy days. Is that still happening? Is that a thing?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Is that still a thing? Who won it last year? Big Show.
Big Show.
It was, yeah.
Did his career a world of good.
Yeah, he
Cesaro's a
totally
world of good
needed
as
it.
Horse Cesaro. Intercontinental title, Kevin Owens.
Kevin Owens, AJ Styles. Please, please, fingers, toes, everything crossed. And I hope they start setting that up tonight. For me, it's the only kind of storyline we have in place. Like, even though, it's from the Rumble, but with Owens' tweets and things like that, and that will be the match to watch out for at WrestleMania if we do get that.
Has there been much of? I'm not as tuned into indies and things, but has there been much of a relationship between Kevin Owens and AJ Styles in indies?
Not that
Like
I
there
know.
must be, like there has been Generico and
I was
whatnot.
going to say, with AJ always being in TNA and then jumping straight to New Japan, they've not
Yeah.
really interacted.
I think there might have been one, maybe a push two, but no, they've never really. This is
It's
a
not.
wrestling
They've not got the.
match.
Yeah, they've not got the reputation like Generico and Kevin Steen.
No, absolutely not.
Well, that certainly sounds like a good one to me. Very up for that one. How many people is Kalisto defending against?
6 or 7.
Yeah, it's gonna be a ladder match.
8-man ladder match?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I'll be down with that.
So that's like what?
Remember the last time Kalisto had a ladder match?
Sleed of Soul.
It was pretty dope.
So in that we're going to get what? Ziggler, Neville, Sin Cara, possibly 1 or 2 of the League of Nations.
R-Truth, Goldust, Stardust.
What sort of match is R-Truth gonna think he's in then?
I don't care. Just let him come down. Yeah, just let him come down and do something else. Are we missing anything else? Divas match. We've said triple threat, right?
Triple threat on the
Yeah.
singles one.
I think we've booked up Mania now, haven't we? That's pretty much Mania. I have one final question to you all. With where we set up now, WrestleMania or NXT Dallas? Which one are you most looking forward to?
Dallas.
Dallas.
You only have to go listen to our
Dallas.
NXT podcast where we talk about it. You'll understand just why we're up for Dallas. Fucking hell.
Yeah,
Taking a page out of Edge's up there with the same shameless self-promotion.
Just
But, the card for Takeover Dallas it's a dream. There is nothing that I don't think that WrestleMania can do to top what is going to happen at Takeover Dallas. And like Ollie said, just go listen to that podcast. We explain it all there.
Now the good news is that today that Suzuki Nakamura has officially signed with the WWE now, rather than just waiting for a medical. I guess he has now officially signed and will report to the Performance Center in late March. So, I mean, we was always going to get it at Dallas because that's what they said, but we didn't know whether or not it was just going to be for that one match or not. But it seems like he's here to stay, which is awesome news.
yeah, they say he's going to be in NXT for a while from the looks of it, which will be interesting.
Well, he has to get used to that UK style, doesn't he? UK? WWE style. Anyway, my overall impression for the pay-per-view was that the wrestling in it was good, but the storylines just made it, was lacking with something, made it that little bit of a downer. So for me, I'm saying it's around about a 5 out of 10. So I don't know about what you guys thought. Let us know what you thought on Twitter. Ollie, what's all of our stuff?
So if you want to get in touch with your lovely people here, you can get us on Twitter at @nowherepod. You can email us at @ofnowherepodcast. You can also, recently we set up a YouTube account where we'll be uploading all our podcasts as well as some videos as the weeks progress. So please do go subscribe onto our newly formed YouTube account, which is Out of Nowhere Podcast. And of course, please do listen, subscribe to us on iTunes, and go check out the rest of our family over at outoflies.net. There's Out of the Crossfire, there's Out of Ideas, there's Out of Reality, there's Out of Lies Podcast itself, and the recently formed or recently acquired Tanked Up to the family. So yeah, do go share some love for the Art of Lies family.
I don't think we acquired it. I think we just kind of joined forces, didn't we?
No, I think Ross kind of blindfolded them and they woke up and they were just there with the new logo and...
Sounds like a Triple H move.
Yeah, but...
Sounds like a
what he does
TNA move.
best.
I'm pretty sure they did it to Samoa Joe and some Rangers at one point.
Stephen, a pleasure to have you back. You have nothing to plug, I don't think.
Thank you. No, I don't. No.
Chelsea?
Just Twitter, Chelsea Vader on Twitter. I think I'm actually going to change my Twitter handle, actually. So, I might just make
Fight
it...
Chelsea Fight?
Yeah, I think I am going to make that transition to Fight Chelsea Fight onto Twitter now.
Proper KO fangirl.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll have to have your little animated sprite as your person.
I have actually downloaded it, and I'm going to set that up as soon as we're done.
Ollie, anything to plug for yourself?
I do have my Twitter account, but I rarely use it. I generally just tend to tweet from the Out of Nowhere Twitter, so you can catch me on there.
And I'm at DjangoBob96 because I can't get just Django Bob. Twitter.
Hashtag Michael deserves Django Bob. Tweet it.
I know, I am Django Bob. It's not fair. Anyway, thank you for joining us. We'll catch you on our Raw recap show. See ya.